what are we going to do when 90% of everything you see on the shelves coming out of China stops coming out of China? But you showed a really cool shot of that ship on the port, and you were like, I couldn't tell how far away you were, but it looked...
We were stupid close. Thousands. When I say thousands upon thousands of containers sitting there, I mean it. Now, if you guys have never checked out my channel, Preparing for Survival, go take a look over there. I actually go to a lot of different stores, different cities, different states, everything else, just to kind of see what's going on everywhere.
According to several different news articles, the head of the United Nations warned Friday that the world faces catastrophe because of the ongoing growing food shortage around the globe. The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, he said the war in the Ukraine has added to the disruptions caused by climate change and that the pandemic as well as inequality to produce a, quote, unprecedented global hunger crisis already affecting hundreds of millions of people. He went on to say that there is a real risk that multiple famines, and I want you guys to pay very, very close attention here. He said that there is a real risk that not one, but multiple famines will be declared in 2022. And this is what he said in a video message to officials from dozens of rich as well as developing countries gathered in Berlin. You know, all the wealthy people, they all get together in some big room and they, you know,
decide everything.
Exactly. And then we kind of have to fall in, I won't say fall in line, but we're affected by the decisions that they make from the top down.
Exactly.
So he went on to say, quote, and 2023 could be even worse. So basically we ain't seen nothing yet.
No.
Guterres went on to note that harvests across Asia, Africa, and the Americas will take a hit as farmers across the world struggle to cope with rising fertilizer and energy prices. He said this, and I quote, the year's food access issues could become next year's global food shortage. So I'm taking this as, you know, this is kind of like a preview of a movie. This is a preview of what's to come. So basically, these are the good times.
I was about to say, you got to think that right now, even as a preview, it sucks. So
Exactly.
Imagine what the whole movie's going to be like. Okay. All right.
He went on to say, quote, no country will be immune to the social and economic repercussions of such a catastrophe. It's a bit of a bleak outlook.
No, but here's my question. So you say it like that, but how many countries are already or have been in that situation for decades, centuries? Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of third world countries who this is nothing new to them, but because we are now having first world problems, it's kind of how you can look at it, right? Like,
exactly.
We have gotten so used to being able to just walk out and get whatever we want, wherever we want, whenever we want, and now it's like, no, you're going to have to scale that back. No, you're going to have to cut that back. So then you have to say, okay, wait, is it really a huge thing, or is it just huge to us because it's not something we're used to?
I mean, I'm kind of on the same camp. It's kind of like, okay, it's going to be one of those things where, okay, not everything that we're used to seeing is readily available.
Yeah.
Is it just kind of maybe a more exaggerated form of, okay, my favorite brand of XYZ is not available, or, you know, I'm used to angel hair pasta, but now I have to settle for, you know, traditional spaghetti. Or
and you use the word settle, and that's where it comes in. You have to settle for a different kind of spaghetti because you're used to this one, which after you get done, like I go out into all the stores and look at all the stuff in the stores, and once I'm done, I'm like, you know, it could look bleak depending on who you're talking to. You talk to somebody different, and they're like, man, that is a lot of food.
True.
So it still all depends. Yes, there is definitely less of certain things than there used to be, but there's also more of other things than there used to be. So you're seeing less of, honestly, meats, chicken, poultry and chicken, same thing, beef and things like that. You're seeing a little bit less of that, but you're seeing like an uptick in frozen foods for some reason. Like they have no issue with the frozen chickens and things like that. How come there's not the same amount of fresh chicken? That's been my question lately, is when I go to Sam's Club, Costco, Publix, Walmart, I'm like, where's the fresh chicken? You go over to the freezer aisle, it's all right there.
So is it that some of these billion-dollar corporations that are creating all the processed foods that you can purchase in the freezer sections, are they buying up all the chicken that is available on the market before the regular people can get to the groceries? Because they don't even make it to the grocery stores in the same quantities as they used to.
Exactly.
And so big companies like, you know, hypothetically, Tyson and I don't eat a whole lot of frozen food, but they're the only ones that come to mind. Maybe they're buying up all the food so they can keep their business sustained.
Yeah.
They can keep making their processed foods.
Yeah.
And you know, we're left with whatever's left. I remember Kevin, my brother, your husband, went to the, I think, was it Walmart? I think it was Walmart. He went in there and there was no chicken breast.
Correct.
Remember that
None
one?
in Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay.
None.
So now that was one store, one incident, but you know, is this the anomaly or is this commonplace? You know?
So from what I see, because I do go out and hit different stores and look at things, what I notice is that Costco. I go to Costco a lot. So Costco, I generally don't see issues. There's always some sort of fresh chicken, fresh hamburger meat, fresh pork loin, fresh all this, and there's still stuff in the freezer section also. But then you go over to Sam's Club. Like I went to Sam's Club yesterday, and there's barely anything. Now Sam's Club is part of Walmart, so they are the same company. It makes sense that if one is lacking, the other one would also be lacking, or if one is completely empty, maybe it's because they shoved it all over to this other section, right? But they're both seem to be kind of on the lower receiving end of the fresh meats and things like that, whereas Costco, they have their own ports, they have their own delivery trucks, they have their own everything, so for them to get things may be a lot easier than Walmart and Sam's Club.
You know, that's an interesting point you mentioned, because you identified that Sam's Club was low on a lot of items, but that's where you have a membership. You have to pay for.
You have to have a membership in order to get into Sam's Club. But also right now at Sam's Club, they're doing this $8 membership until June 26th. Is it today?
Oh wow, yeah, that might
I think
be
it's today. I don't know what today is.
So depending upon when this video airs, you might want to run out or at least call Sam's Club and see if the deal's still going on.
But so I had a lot of people comment when I told them about it. I made a community post about, hey, you know, if you guys have been trying to get into Sam's Club, they have an $8 membership right now. It's normally $45. Now's the time to go out and get it, right? And they're like, you know, there's no signs up for it anywhere in the store. You have to go stand in customer service and ask for it.
What?
You can never have been a member before. You can only purchase one membership. And the people at Sam's Club when I went in yesterday, the guy in front of me was saying, you know, it's weird that they're doing this $8 thing. You know, I've never been able to afford the membership. I'm going to buy it now, but I walked through the store first and they don't really have anything to really sell you. So maybe that's why they're lowering the prices on the membership to get people in there, even though they don't really have the stuff to sell them.
Yeah.
Do you know how mad you'd be if you paid $45 for a membership and walked through and couldn't get anything?
Yeah.
You pay $8, you're like, okay, well, I mean, it's $8 for an entire year, whatever. But $45, it may hit a little different.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I don't know.
So, if you got the $8 membership, when you renew, does it renew at $8 or does it renew at $45? Okay.
You know it renews at $45. And if maybe it renews at $100. I haven't seen the fine print. What if you go in there for the $8 one thing and, oh, I'm going to get this $8 membership, and when it renews, you get hit for $100 because fine print, you got to read the fine print. So so about that, one of my subscribers commented on one of my videos about his post office box. He said, you know, I've always paid $36 every 6 months for the post office box. Then it renewed at $71. Now it's renewing at like $93 or $96 for 6 months. It's still the exact same post office box for the exact same time limit, but now you are 3 times more expensive.
Oh my God.
Nothing has changed about it. The post office didn't get more expensive. Your stamps still cost the same as they did 6 months ago, but the post office box costs more because they know people are ordering more things online and you want a safe and secure place to have it delivered. So they're like, well, in order to have safe and secure, you're going to have to pay for that.
In addition to that, because I think that all of those are valid points, I wonder how many of these P.O. Box places are renting where they're at. And we're seeing rents rising at an alarming rate. Maybe their rent and other forms of overhead is going up because it's like, all right, so with the higher demand for electricity, we've been seeing multiple blackouts across the nation. We know that the demand for electricity is going up. You got the whole administration's huge push for clean energy, right? And so with the rolling blackouts, which is many of these power companies attempt to take this this finite resource of electricity and distribute it among everyone, and their response to that is, hey, there's more demand than we have supply for this electricity. Let's kill the power for some of these places, right? So you have to think, like, I have to think that electricity is becoming more expensive per joule.
Correct.
And the cost of rent is going up, even though it's the same place. You know, property taxes for the people who own the property or the corporations that own the land or the location where these, whether it's UPS or FedEx, wherever these places that offer these PO boxes and mailboxes are stationed, heck, well, actually a PO box. So that's the United States government, but they rent too.
Yeah.
So if the property tax goes up, which they are because all the values are going up, right? We're seeing housing market values going up, commercial property values going up. So of course, when they reassess these commercial properties, well, hey, the tax man of the county, we're gonna get our child. Y'all not gonna make more money and have your assets appreciate so quickly and leave us out. So property taxes going up, homeowners insurance or property insurance for those facilities are going up, right? Then you have all sorts of natural disasters picking up, and all of these different insurance companies, basically I won't say several, some are going under, and so we can clearly see that there are more claims and more expensive claims being filed, so those insurance policies and those premiums are going up. And so I almost feel like if you look at only those 4 items that I mentioned, I could almost, not that I'm okay with it, but I can kind of see where some of that added cost for a renewal of a PO box could trickle down to the PO box holder.
Now think about it this way. Think about the places that are retail places that also have to buy the things that they're selling to you on top of pay the increased rent, increased insurance, increased supply costs,
Increased worker salaries.
Increased
too.
worker salaries. So let's go paint stores. A paint store rents its location, right? They don't own them. It rents its location. Whether you're Home Depot, Lowe's, Sherwin-Williams, Finsborough, or whatever, you're going to rent that location, right? And the price for that rent goes up. So you're going to have to make your materials that you're selling in there cost a little bit more. Well, the materials that are used to make the paint or the wood or the whatever else that's in there has also gone up, and then to get them to the store has also gone up.
If they're available.
If they're available. So you have all these things just adding to the point where it's almost impossible to afford life at this point. So when the article said, we're going to have numerous famines and all these, crisis events, it's going to be more of a we can't afford to eat, I think, as opposed to we don't have the ability to eat. Like, I think the stuff will end up being there in some sense, but who's going to be able to afford it?
Right.
That's what it comes down to for me, which is still going to create a famine. Whether it doesn't have to be lack of crops or lack of this that creates the famine, it's the lack of ability to eat that creates a famine. Correct?
I can't argue with that. As a matter of fact, if you guys had seen my video, one of the last couple videos, I went to Walmart and I haven't purchased baby formula in 10 years. So I don't remember what it cost back then. I really don't remember. But I know I went in and I showed you guys some prices. And just looking at you guys' comments, you guys were surprised at how expensive it is and how empty those shelves were. Because I went through and, what was it, Enfamil, you've
got Similac, you have Neuro something or other. There's a bunch of different ones out there now that didn't used to be there. So it's like you have more options and brands on the market, which in theory would make you think that the pricing would go down. But because there's more brands but still less availability, the prices are just going through the roof.
Dude, I saw like almost $57 for Enfamil, and the shelf was empty, and all I could see was the price. And you know how like the price tag on the shelf is a little bit cryptic, so you don't necessarily know what was there unless you're like a product specialist. I'm no product specialist, certainly not from a baby formula.
Because it's like EM, GS, blah blah.
I'm like,
what does this mean?
I don't know what this was, right? So. And I guess that kind of goes when you see something on a shelf, you think it's one price, you get to register, and you're like, oh no, it was in the wrong spot, you know, and they got you.
You can't read the label,
you don't understand
what.
Basically. But anyway, like a lot of comments came in basically saying, God, what, $56, $57 for baby formula? And the shocking, surprising thing was, it was all wiped out. It's expensive, and it still got wiped out.
Well, but that's because it's a necessity. I mean, it's not like, that's one of those things where you can go, I'm not going to buy this today. Well, I'd like my child to live. So, gonna have to find a way to afford that. A lot of places or a lot of families, it's okay, the baby eats, mom and dad, you go without. You know what I mean? There are a lot of instances now where because things are so incredibly expensive, you have to put a diaper on a baby, you got to feed them, you have to have insurance for a baby, you go to the doctor, you have to have clothes because they grow like little baby weeds. It's so incredibly expensive that it takes a huge tax on families, especially ones that aren't in the position to be able to afford this massive price increase across the board. Which again comes into the famine part. Like babies fed, mom and dad Who knows? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So what do you guys think about this whole famine situation that we're being warned of? Do you really think that it's actually going to be a widespread famine, like you walk into a Walmart, you walk into a Aldi or Publix, Kroger, and there's nothing on the shelves? Or is it more like, hey, maybe there's a few empty spaces on certain shelves, certain areas, but more or less it's more of a financial famine as a result of what is available is very expensive. And so maybe within certain households there's famine because, hey, we only have $400 a month for food, but today that $400 really only gets you about $100 worth of food traditionally.
Yeah.
Like, what do you guys think about that?
Now, if you guys have never checked out my channel, Preparing for Survival, go take a look over there. I actually go to a lot of different stores, different cities, different states, everything else, just to kind of see what's going on everywhere. It's easy for me to say, this is what's happening in my little bubble, my little corner, but that doesn't affect everybody. I want to show you guys more. So if you haven't been over there, go check it out. If you're interested in seeing pricing, where it's started, how it's progressively gotten higher, how the amount on the shelves went from full to literally just barely anything there, and now weirdly coming back. But you guys have to keep in mind, all those ships that were in the ports, those things are going back out on the shelves too.
I don't want to interrupt you,
So
but
you're
you
good.
showed a really cool shot of that ship on the port, and you were like, I couldn't tell how far away you were, but it looked...
We were stupid close.
That was scary.
Yeah, so we went to Mount Pleasant, South Carolina a few days ago, and we're out on a boat, and we're just kind of driving around looking for things, honestly, because I knew that there were ports there where they moved container ships and stuff, and we found it, and there was nothing to stop us from getting literally this close. And you know what else didn't stop us? People. There was nobody working.
Yeah.
I saw 2 trucks driving with a container on each one, and I saw one of the arms moving a container onto the container ship, the cargo ship. But that was it. So it's 3 working people in the middle of the weekday, and thousands, when I say thousands upon thousands of containers sitting there, I mean it. And I was not aware the name brands on the containers. I knew one of them said China, obviously one of those China shipping, but the other one, COSTCO, C-O-S-C-O, not to be confused with the store COSTCO, C-O-S-T-C-O. Those are also Chinese containers, and I wasn't aware. So the majority of the containers that were on those cargo ships were all from China.
Dude, you bring up such a valid point. So we're talking about food shortages, potential famine, and you had the multiple lockdowns as a result, multiple China lockdowns, and the most recent one, which we really, in my opinion, haven't felt yet because number one, I used to import a lot of goods from China for previous business that I was running, and a ship delivering, whenever you order by sea, deliveries are normally 30 to 60 days. So you already got like anywhere from a month to 2 months before you're going to get a completed product from a Chinese port to, say, a U.S. port. So you already got a month to 60 days, or 1 to 2 months delay, right? But the shutdown started from, like, mainly their factories. So when they did a lockdown, the factories are going to be affected first. So that's developing the product, that's building the product, that's assembling it and whatnot, packaging and so forth. But I'm not aware that shipments stopped coming from China. There was a lockdown, and I think that based on the information that I've been reading, some deliveries are still coming out of the Chinese ports. So here's the thing. You got to think about some of the time frames, because when that lockdown took place, they're still able to get goods that are already made shipped out of China.
Correct.
And they're moving out, slowly, which is okay because we already have ports backed up here. We already have ships that have not yet been emptied. There's still tons of containers on the ships that are in our ports. So I guess what I'm saying is we don't know how bad the implications of this most recent China lockdown is going to be.
Yeah.
Because of the existing backups that we're already still experiencing at our own ports.
And you got to think, not even China, the things that are actually made here in the USA, when we had our shutdowns, our quarantines and all those things, you had to stop production, right? And then since people couldn't go to work and you couldn't do this and money wasn't moving through the economy, there was no point in making more of these things. Well, now things are moving again, and it's like, oh crap, we got to scramble to catch up to make these things. But the parts and the pieces that you needed, that even though it's made here in the U.S., a lot of those parts and pieces still come from China, Indonesia, Philippines, Taiwan, something like that. You still have to find a way to get those here. So even though we're open for business, like the world seems to be open for business in most places, it's still going to be one of those things where right now I think we have a ton of stuff on the shelves, but once that stuff is gone, we're going to have a long span of time before we can get any of that stuff back, because now you're having to start all the way back at square one of get the materials, put the materials together, package the materials, send the materials. You know what I mean? Because everything that was already packaged and ready to go has been gone. Like it's been sent out. So that's where I think we're going to have a lot of issues, and I think it's going to be more of the things that people want right now for their stockpiles: the canned goods, the boxed goods, the freeze-dried things, things like that. The machines that help you dehydrate, the machines that, you know, like blenders and things like that. Anything that requires electronic components, because a lot of those things come from China. That's where I think we're going to have a lot of issues in the future.
And speaking of the future, it's kind of like, all right, there's a lot of tension going on between how China and Russia are doing business.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about tariffs, I believe. I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, I want to say Biden is looking at potentially removing the tariffs that were put in place during the Trump administration. I could have sworn I read an article. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. But here's the thing. It's a very delicate balance between the U.S. relationship with China. Number one, there's a big concern about, you know, this changing of the guard, so to speak, the new economic superpower. How long will it be before China becomes what the U.S. is now? But here's a really scary part that is unbelievably evident here. China, if you know, as much as the U.S. can place tariffs on another country, and you know there's existing, you know, tariffs on China right now, China could be like, yo, I don't want to send you any more products. Wait, you want to hit us with tariffs? You keep your tariffs, we'll keep our products. What are we going to do when 90% of everything you see on the shelves coming out of China stops coming out of China?
So the issue there is, and I've said this for the longest time, and it's not a very popular opinion, but it's my opinion. Once the cheap versions of things quit coming out of China, and we start making things here in the USA, it will cost much more. Even though we have our own stuff, for some reason, I don't know how to phrase this where it doesn't sound just absolutely whatever, but when we make our own things, we are really proud of it, and there's nothing wrong with that. But with that pride, we put a very large dollar sign on it. Whereas if we're ordering things from other countries, it's coming in much cheaper. You can have it at this price, it's whatever. But when we make it, that's some expensive stuff. And so if we stop getting stuff from other countries and everything is based out of here, you have to be willing to pay for it, because it's going to cost more, which you would think it would be the other way around. When you're bringing something in from somewhere else, you would think that's what would cost the most, not the stuff you're making in your own country.
Well, and you would. But the difference is it's like, okay, first of all, what are our labor rates compared to theirs?
Yeah.
You know, you want
our labor ages too. Keep that in mind.
And then you have, you know, okay, do we even have the infrastructure from you know, we'll dig up and extract raw materials, aluminum, you know, and we're shipping it over to China, and they're taking the raw materials and actually making usable stuff
and
out of it.
sending things back.
Right.
Yes.
So they've got the infrastructure set up to make these cell phones and, you know, laptops and microwaves and appliances and everything that, you know, not most of the clothing, like most of the stuff that we see on the shelf. So it's like, you know, but the thing is they make it in such a they make it very quickly, and they make it at such a low cost, because if you compare the pay rate of the average factory worker in the United States versus the average factory worker in China, huge difference.
Huge difference, massive difference.
Then you've got all sorts of bureaucratic, you know, lining in place here in the United States. You've got all sorts of taxes that these businesses have to pay, insurances, OSHA regulations that have to be met. You think any of these OSHA regulations?
according to the way I've seen their flea markets and their food markets.
Man.
There's no OSHA regulations or any kind of regulations. Oh, totally off topic,
Yeah.
but kind of, sort of. You're wearing a Nike shirt.
Yep.
I saw a thing this morning that Nike has said they are no longer selling to Russia. They will not send anything to Russia. They will not sell anything to Russia. They will not buy anything from Russia. So you're like, yes, way to get on board, Nike. Nah. Do you know what that means?
Though, right?
But do you know what that means? That Nike shirt you may have paid $15 for, that's now $25. They have to make up the money they're no longer getting from Russia somewhere. So Nike stuff's about to go through the roof. Bet money. That's my thought. I just thought of that because your shirt's Nike. And I was thinking how this Salt Life, one of my new favorite brands, they are an American brand.
Huh.
I bet money if you look at my tag, it's made in China. I bet it's not made here in the U.S. though.
Anybody want to place any bets?
But I can bet money that it's not made here.
Yeah.
It was just a random thought. An American brand, probably Chinese made.
And I don't think it comes as any surprise. But the thing is we have an unbelievably disproportionate dependence on overseas production.
Yes.
And it's scary. I mean, it's like we got a taste of what shortages look like. We got a taste. But let's just say that relations were to go south and they just stop ship. I mean, because just like relationships between Russia and all these other companies stopped, I mean, I'm just saying it would be a scary scenario to see a U.S.-China relationship go south and all of a sudden, hey, until things get resolved, China's not going to send us anything else. I mean, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I'm just keeping it real.
Yeah. So this is one of those times, I say it all the time in my videos, don't hoard anything. To me, that's a bad word. You don't want to hoard stuff, but you do want to make sure that if you have the means and ability to go out and get the things that you and your family need to hold you over for 6 months to a year, try to do that while you can before the prices go up, because they're continuously rising. So you want to make sure that you have enough canned food, you have enough beans and things like that, dried goods, things that don't require electricity. Please don't put my favorite saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't fill up a freezer and a refrigerator with stuff, because the second they do a rolling blackout in your area, there goes everything you've spent your money on and worked to prepare and stockpile. So you need the things. You need the things that don't require electricity. The handheld can opener. Brother-in-law over here, he and his wife have one of those electric can openers. They do not have a handheld can opener, so
I was unprepared.
we're gonna have to fix that part. But when there's no electricity, you need to make sure you guys have the ability to do things.
Just want to make a quick mention. Shout out to COSTCO. But I just noticed on the COSTCO, this particular product is made in China. You guys might not be able to see that, but take my word for it. But anyway, I know we covered a lot today in today's video. I just wanted to thank Preparing for Survival to join me on this particular video. Make sure to check out her channel. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll drop a link to Prepping for Survival, Preparing for Survival in the description down below. Probably even leave a pinned comment.
Okay.
So
just check that out and tell me what it says, because I am curious now.
Dude, made in China.
Looky cookie, what do you know?
Made in China. So our alliance is undeniable.
Yeah.
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 But anyway, like, comment, subscribe, check out the channel, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Bye.